Well, welcome to 2024 and the market update with Jolene Moore. I'm Cindy Bishop with Cindy Bishop Worldwide. Now let's talk about our speaker for a minute. There's no CE credit for our market update, but our speaker, Jolene Moore, is a top producing lender. Her elevated knowledge of market intricacies, as well as her attention to detail, cause her to be one of the best mortgage finance authorities in your market today. Make sure you're looking out for her classes, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Jolene has an abundance of experience and a keen ability in the real estate lending field. She is not only a top producing lender nationwide, she is also the branch manager and senior home loan consultant with Cross Country Mortgage in Fairfax. Jolene is also a well-respected, sought-after trainer with Cindy Bishop Worldwide. Pay close attention to Jolene's educational offerings that include mortgage classes in her office in Fairfax. So if you go to cindybishopworldwide.com to upcoming event, you'll see a button called in-person classes. And so click on that and you'll see them right there. So you don't have to go searching around. And I highly recommend you attend some of those. She also does specialized classes like divorce. We don't waste our time doing classes that aren't worthwhile for you guys. So anything you see that Jolene is doing is very worthwhile for the benefit of not only lead generation, but also of your marketing to your database. And so you'll have access to all that specialized training on cindybishopworldwide.com and to be able to go there to upcoming events. Of course, if all else fails, just ask me. I'm easy to get. My cell phone number's all over the place, and you can send me an email and I'll always help you with that. So with no further ado, let's take it away, Jolene.
All right. Thank you, Cindy. Happy New Year, everyone. It's crazy. It's already the 10th. So I'm sure you guys have already felt it on my end. Just regarding the market in general, things are definitely picking up. I've had clients making offers and facing, I think one faced 15, another one was 11, another was 4, escalation clauses, waiving contingencies, things like that. So, last year, I think we waited till like the 3rd week of January before it started going crazy. And it seems that it's going to start a little earlier this year. So we definitely want to be on our toes and ready to help everyone that we can. So I'm going to just share with you guys a little bit of information today. As always, we're here to help you and your clients. So if you guys need anything, always reach out after this. Like Cindy said, unmute yourself or put your question in the chat. Would love to answer any questions that you have. All right, so rate environment. It's interesting because I think a lot of the pickup is that everyone's like, rates have improved, which they obviously have, right? Rates have improved from where we hit the peak was about October timeframe. We got up into the 8s, right? We are now probably in the mid to high 6s for conventional type products, without points, and then low 6s, maybe even high 5s. On VA FHA. So those are the best products, price products out there right now, which I would say keep in mind if you're a listing agent, right? If you're on the listing side, and you get a VA contract, it's always been on a soapbox for me, but VA majority of the time is always going to make the best financial sense for the client. And they're very high qualified, very good loan scenario, clients that would be providing an offer on your listing that are doing a VA loan. So keep that in mind as we get into this market. So the job numbers that came out last week for December were stronger than expected. So we had more jobs created than what was expected in December. Anytime economic reports come out and show that the economy is doing better than what's expected, that means our rates are going to move up slightly, depending on what the report is and the impact it's having. Inflation numbers are coming out tomorrow. So there's 2 reports that come out tomorrow and Friday that are going to indicate the one tomorrow is actually expected to come in a little hot. That's going to create a little bit higher overall inflation than in the previous month. And then the other one should keep it more in line. But the reality is, again, when inflation numbers come in, that's another thing that the bond market doesn't like, which is what controls our long-term interest rates. So when inflation's slightly higher, that could also have an impact on what happens with rates as we move forward. So keep all of that in mind. And what I wanted to show you guys is, I have as a chart, let me find it here, is to show you kind of what rates have been doing. So you can, when we see green, that's a good indicator for the market. It means that the bond market started at one level, kind of like the stock market, and it closed at a higher level, which is good for us, which means rates are improving. But when the bond market starts at one level and closes at a lower level, that means it's in the red, and that means rates are usually going to be increasing. So you can see here, like in this, we kind of hit a peak of rates improving around the December 28 timeframe. So you can kind of see we back here, November 1st, November 3rd, here, November 14th, and then we kind of started going up and improving in interest rates. And we kind of were on that trajectory until the 28th of December. And then I think there was a Fed president that spoke the first week of January, and a couple other things that happened last week that have caused the rates to be worsen a little bit. So you can see that the trend has been a little bit downward, right? So that means that we had hit one level of rates, and we've unfortunately gone a little bit higher than where we were at the end of December. So the year is not starting out where we're seeing a trajectory of rates, going down. I do think that that's what we're going to see as the year goes along. But when we hit that and where we start, I don't think there's ever going to be a straight line down. But I do think that we're going to start to see more gradual, just like we saw here, gradual improvements. We will start to see that again. But it may, maybe a month or two before we start to see that, depending on the inflation numbers that come out. So wanted to show you that so you guys just have an idea of kind of what the market has been doing. Now, when the Feds cut their rate, and I shared this last month, but I just wanted to share it again. And this is going to move, right? The percentages and the odds of when the Feds are going to start to cut their rate is going to change as these economic reports come out. So, I was just on a call before this with my company, and, the CEO of Cross Country thinks there's as you can see here, it's a 97% chance that that's when the Feds could cut their rate. So I think that, his perspective was he thought it was going to happen more in this June timeframe and not as much in the March. And what that means is when the Feds start to cut their rate, again, that's going to mean that they feel like they've hit inflation numbers that they feel comfortable with, and that's going to help us, and that's going to help our rates to continue to improve. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll keep you posted as we go along each month, but that's kind of where things stand. Anyone have any questions on the interest rates, the market, kind of like what's been happening, or have any input that they wanted to provide? Does all make sense? Is this helpful to you guys? Where you helps, give you the education to be able to talk to your clients? Okay, like Cindy said, I don't want to talk to emptiness. Yes, thank you, Jennifer.
It is very helpful. Thank you.
All right, good. Thank you. All right. So the market news, I always like to try to give a little bit of insight just into what's happening in our area relative to, the markets with Northern Virginia, with Dulles, with Prince William, things like that. So, but last year, so far through November, we don't have the December numbers yet. So we won't know like total year over year and probably till next month. But as of November, we saw that how home prices, according to CoreLogic, up 5.2% year over year. No, this is national, not local. And then there's CoreLogic thinks that in the spring, we're going to see an appreciation of about 2.3% in spring of this year. Again, that's going to all depend on what happens. And, this is nationally. When I talk to agents, like I talked to several different agents last year, and I think on a whole, we saw, when we did see the escalation clauses, we were usually seeing 8 to 10%. So on average, we may see our appreciation higher, but we may see, we also see others, homes that are not priced well or don't have the updates. From what I've seen, you guys can tell me if you're seeing differently, is those houses can take a little longer to sell. There can be some negotiating power on those properties, is from what I've experienced on my end with clients. So that obviously will average it out, and we'll see where we end up. So year-to-date sales as of November, right? This isn't for the full year. Average sales prices were down 4.69% through Northern Virginia Realtor Association. And then the units sold were down 14.55%. And then DARD, which is the Dulles, said that for November, they don't have the year to date. They had year over year for November. they were down 5.2%. So overall, you know, we were down last year. We all felt it. We all know it. You know, again, going back to the CEO of my company, and I don't know if you guys know enough that much about cross country, but we're the third largest lender in the country. We're behind Rocket and United Wholesale. So we have, I think, 8,000 employees. So we do a lot of business. And, you know, his prediction is he thinks the market's going to be up 30 to 40% this year. We'll see what happens, but that's what we got to prepare for, in the sense we got to make sure we take advantage of the market opportunities that we're going to have. It's going to be a challenging year again, you know, already when we're seeing multiple offers and escalation clauses. It's working with a lender you're going to keep you educated, but also working with us so that we can help you strategize the best when you make your offers, right? We can, you know, closing quickly, waiving contingencies, whatever you can do to make that offer the most competitive. You got to communicate and work with us or whatever lender you're working with to make sure that you help set your client up for the best success. All right, the new loan limits, just to make sure, again, you guys know all of this. You know, it came out at the end of November of last year, but this is for loan limits for 2024. So conforming loan limit is 766,500. So that means that we can go up to a sales price of almost around 791,000 with only 3% down if they're a first-time home buyer. So that obviously can help with purchasing power in our market, you know, with our average sales price being what it is. And then high balance. So that, you know, last year we were like at 1.089 was our loan limit before we hit to the jumbo world. We're now at 1.149825, which means we could go up to a sales price of 1.21 million with only 5% down. And I have a client right now that we're doing that. You know, we're right at 1.2, I think it's like 1.9 something, and he's putting 5% down, and the loan amount's 1.14. Again, that's incredible if you think about it and where we've come. You know, I mean, for many years, we stayed at the conforming loan limit of 417,000. Like before, like I think it was 18 or 19 is when it finally started increasing, but it was 417 forever, you know, and to think now where we are is just quite crazy. So, but anyway, that's helpful for us because we are in a high cost area that can help with clients to be able to, you know, buy a home that fits for their needs without so much money out of pocket. And with rates coming down, it's something else to think about on the listing side. With rates coming down, you know, it's already was talks with clients of like, do you really need to put 20% down? Do you need to put 10% down? What does 5% look like? So that either one, you keep emergency funds, two, you invest in the market, you know, stock market, diversify your portfolio. Those are things that are going to have more conversations now as we start to see the interest rates improve. You know, when they're up in the high 7s and 8s, it's hard to make that more than that in the market. So it made sense potentially to put more down. Plus, it helped with the monthly payment and qualifying. But as rates start to improve, those conversations are going to come back and be important. So again, to think about, if you see lower down payments does not mean they don't have the funds, but that's also working with a lender so that, like, you know, for instance, for us, when we have an offer submitted, we reach out to the listing agent. And that's a conversation I would have with the listing agent, letting them know the buyer has plenty of funds. They have more funds than they need. This is just makes them a good financial strategic decision. So about making sure that those conversations are had. Cross Country has a grant program. It's for first-time home buyers up to $120,000 income, and it can be up to $4,000 for a grant towards the down payment on conforming loans, which means it's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans, not government loans. There also is a grant with the FHLB Bank in Atlanta. They run out of funds often, so it's not always available, and it's not right now, but they're going to be releasing more funds in February. So that's something that we can look at that point in time as well for clients to help them, you know, with funds towards close down payment and closing costs. Cross Country has a program called Buy by PMI, and that's basically with you put 15% down and you have no mortgage insurance, which again goes back to that, you know, lower down payment options that we were talking about. And the great thing about this program is it's no mortgage insurance. but it also doesn't bump up the rate. You know, a lot of time when you have no mortgage insurance, the rate's going to be higher than what the market rate would be. But it's not in this situation. So it's a great alternative. And I've had the conversation with many clients where they were very focused on 20% because they didn't want to have to pay mortgage insurance. And when we go over this program, they're like, oh, that's great. I can put 15% down and still not pay mortgage insurance and keep, you know, more of their funds. The other thing that we've done for clients, you know, since I've been at Cross Country, which is, I joined in April of last year, and then ongoing, the company keeps renewing it, is we have a buy now, save later, which means you're buying the now, and when we go to refinance, because the rates are going to be lower, we're going to waive our lender fees at that time. So we give them a certificate at the time of closing that will allow them the ability for us to waive those fees. So, because a lot of clients, you know, are like, we're talking about the benefit of buying now, even though rates are higher, we know rates are going to come down. If they wait, as you guys all know, the competition is going to be even more vast. You know, there's going to be, you may pay more for the house, things like that. But their concern is paying closing costs again, right? And so this will allow them to feel a little bit more comfortable, right? Where there's some fees that won't be involved. So that's some good news. So I had a class, like Cindy was saying, I held a class, and I'm not sure if any of you guys were on it last month. I think a few of you might have been. But it was about a class kind of sharing alternative products, you know, so there's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, there's VA, FHA, which is just kind of your standard in the box products, right? And not a whole lot of flexibility within those programs because the guidelines are set, you know, for outside resources than Cross Country. So there are multiple loans that we do. And the thing I love about the availability of these products is that we do them in-house. So I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with someone that's a broker or that has brokered some of these products out when they have these alternative options. And you lose control of the underwriting, the processing, things like that, because you have to send it out to another lender to underwrite these. And when these type of products are already very unique and can be challenging, and then to have to send them outside where it's not your underwriters, it can be worrisome and stressful. The good thing is these products are in-house across country. So the DSCR loan, have you guys heard of that? It's for investment properties, right? So this is for your investors who sometimes want to look at doing hard money lending because they don't qualify to buy. You know, either they write off all their income, or they may be retired, or they don't have income here in the States, whatever it may be. This is a product that allows you to qualify to purchase an investment property by using just what the rental income is going to be. So if the mortgage payment is $3,000, we want to see the rent payment, verified rent through the rent schedule with the appraiser, to be at least 75% of that $3,000. So that's $2,750, right? So as long as the rent that they can receive for that home is $2,750, then they could qualify for this product, and you don't verify income. You don't do verification of employments. You don't get income documentation, anything like that. And that allows you to qualify to purchase an investment property. For self-employed borrowers, many of you, as yourselves, you know, you guys write a lot of your income off with your expenses, and then you have a hard time qualifying for a mortgage. We have a bank statement program that can allow us to qualify for the mortgage by using the deposits in the bank statement. Buy now, sell later. This is for a client who wants to move up and not sell their house first, but doesn't qualify to carry the monthly payment. This allows us to show at least that the house has been listed and within 90 days, and then we don't have to count the payment. Like we have a listing agreement that says they plan to list this home within 90 days. We don't have to count that payment against them for qualifying. So it can allow them to purchase the new home before selling. And then asset qualifier. You know, again, this is a lot of people who, you know, may have, you know, unique ways of earning income, but they may have a lot of assets so that they can't document their income as well. We now can use assets as qualifying for income, and this is without liquidating them. So lots of options. And the point of where I'm bringing this all up, and Jennifer, thank you for commenting, that was a great class, because what I feel like is that we need to just keep this in mind as we go forward into 2024. Like we're saying, the market's going to improve, but we also want to make sure we're taking advantage of any client that we have the opportunity to talk to and not assume that they can't do it because they write all their taxes off and we have to wait till next year when they file their taxes again, right? Or they have, their debt to income ratios are too high because they're helping, they have a debt that they carried for their child. They bought a house for them, and so now they can't qualify to buy an investment property. There's lots of options that we have here at Cross Country that we can help clients achieve the home ownership. So if you guys have any questions or want to learn more about these, reach out to me and we can go into more details, but lots of opportunities to help you all in 2024. All right, I think there was a comment. CoreLogic says price is down 5.2, but Invar says price is down. Isn't that conflicting? I think that was back in the stage. No, that was Dar that said it was home prices, and then you said NBR says, well, that was for the month of November, and that was nationally. The other part is here locally. So there might have been of other markets that increased more. So where the average came out to where it was up 5.2% is what that is. Sorry, Marissa made a comment about that slide. All right, anyone have any questions on the lending information? Any thoughts, anything that you guys want to know more about? Thank you. Is interest rate on asset-based lending higher than conventional rates? Yes. So all of those products I just went over, they do have higher interest rates, right? So anything you're going to go outside the box and have unique situations is going to bring higher interest rates. That is always going to be the situation. It's just, and that's what we have to help the client understand is they're getting a loan when they normally wouldn't be able to with the traditional conventional loans. So we're able to help them, but the rates are going to be higher. So for sure. So that's why if they can qualify for the other loans, we'd always want to take them the loan product of the conventional route. And that's what I explained to a client earlier this week. But if we can't, this still gives us the opportunity to allow them to purchase. All right, so the other thing I thought I'd just talk about, just because it's January, and I didn't get to do my goal setting class because I was sick. I had the flu in November. So I just wanted to kind of bring up a couple things, the tips for success in 2024. And this is something that my team and I are very focused on. And we met and did like an offsite meeting with our team in November. And one of the things that we really kind of realized, and especially after moving companies last year, and I don't know if any of you guys have changed brokerages and things like that, is creating a client process. So we created this checklist, and just wanted to share it with you guys. It's a process of like, okay, what happens when a lead comes in? What happens when an application is received? What happens when they're pre-approved, and then the follow-ups that we're going to do once they're pre-approved, and then what happens when they're under contract. And we did this because, and then what happens after closing. So what's going to happen, what is the client going to experience by working with us in each of these scenarios, in each of these situations? Because what we realized is that, with our move, we kind of got off track a little bit. Of what each client was experiencing. And what I have found is when you create a client experience where everyone feels, one, it's easy for you guys because every time this is what the client's going to experience. It also knows that your client knows what you're doing, that you are very professional, you're experienced, and you're following through on each step as you go along. But you also know that when that client refers somebody to you, that they're going to experience the same thing as the client that referred you did. And so you're going to create this, like repetitive situation where you're going to have this wow experience every time so that they feel confident to refer you. So I would say, over this next week or two, think about creating a client experience and what you want your clients to experience during working with you and also after working with you. The other thing that is super important, and we did a very good job of this last year, was tracking every lead, right? So we have a database, and I'm hope that you all have a CRM that's set up. And if you don't, I have an Excel spreadsheet that I could send to you that you could use as well if you don't have the CRM. But this is our database that we have set up, and we have a report in here Sorry, I'm waiting for it to come up. We have a report for every month. So this is our January 2024 monthly lead tracker. And we put in here all the contact information, who referred us, why they came to us, where the source was, all that. But then we also keep notes. We called, we texted, we emailed, we did, every step along the way, we keep up-to-date notes of what happens. So one, when I call borrowers, they're like, wow, you really remember, well, a lot of it is because I put the notes in there. Two, I also know that when I talked to them last, and that was one thing that I think we did not do as well last year, was following up on pre-approvals. So once we got the client pre-approved, doing the follow-up to stay in touch with them after, right? And so again, I go back and I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to that person in 3 months or 5 months. Like, that's crazy. So this helps you guys understand when you spoke to them last and when, and setting up that follow-up process. So that's something else we put in place, is we created a follow-up plan for pre-approvals and for leads. So what touch points they're going to get, we've created videos. We did a do's and don'ts video. Okay, now you're pre-approved, what's next? So we've created videos to help along with the way as well with the process. So lots of, little touches, like we're sending a card, we're sending a video, we're sending a text, we're trying all different touches instead of just using one to make sure that we stay in touch. The thing I found really successful last year with leads, and some of them that we weren't getting responses from and we were following up, is sending a personalized video. I just record a video on my phone and said, hey, this is Jolene from cross country. We haven't been able to reach you, would love to connect, whatever. And I texted it. I got so much response from those videos when I sent him an individual text like that. And it's very rare, I found, when I send those videos that I didn't hear back from them. So, adding that touch to your follow-up plan as well has been really helpful for us. Also having a marketing plan, right? So what events are you going to have? What little gifts are you going to do this year? What class, what social media are you doing? What are your videos going to go out? All of those kinds of things. We actually ordered, I don't know if you guys have seen this on social media, we ordered this calendar called Big Ass Calendar, and it is big. And I got one for home and personally. And here's what it looks like. It's like, I don't know if you guys can see how well you can see it, but it is big. And it comes with these little Post-it notes. And so you can say, okay, like I'm doing it personally for our trips and for other events we have. And, all like my kids, all those different things. And then at work, Leslie's doing it for our marketing, for our classes, for our client events. So we have that up on our wall at work to try and make sure we can see a year at a glance to make sure that we're doing everything that we want to do. And then really focus on creating relationships this year. This is something that's a big focus for me. I'm having a lot of classes this year. I'm planning to teach 3 times a month. I'm doing an event tomorrow night as a gratitude party, thanking everyone who we worked with last year, and focusing on giving back as much as possible. And, one thing that we also focus on is if you talk to somebody, like we had a client that was sick during the transaction, so we sent her some crumble cookies. We hear that someone has a baby, we send them a little baby gift. I talked to a client who had gotten married 5 months before, and we sent them these 2 little mugs, Mrs. and Mr. So whatever it is, thinking about having opportunities to send little gifts that don't have to be major monetary, gifts, but something that just shows that you're thinking of them and that you want to give back to them. So hopefully you guys, that helps you. I just thought it would be good to share that for going into the year and help set this 2024 up for the biggest success that we can. Anyone have any thoughts, questions, anything you guys want to add to this that you feel like would be important for 2024?
Jolene, do you have any handouts or any kind of handouts that you can send on these things that you just went over? The tracking leads, and are there any kind of anything in writing or any handouts that you could send out?
Yeah, we have a lead tracker. I can send that to you. That shows you. It's a super easy Excel sheet that will allow you to track your leads and do a lot of the same thing that we just showed you that we do in our CRM. So I can send that to you, and I'll think if there's anything else that I have that I can send to you guys relative to this. All
And
right,
how are you going to send that out? Are we going
We'll
to get an
email it.
email or something accessing us, being able to access it?
we'll email it to you.
Okay, thank you. That would be helpful.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right, so an experience checklist, yeah, we'll send that to you. I absolutely do. Maybe we should, all right, very good. All right, well, thank you guys. I look forward to having the opportunity, each one of you, work with you. If there's anything we can do, reach out. Here's all my contact information and my team, and we would love to help make 2024 an awesome year, and we'll stay in touch and talk to you all soon.
And don't forget, the replay will be on Jolene's instructor page later today.
All right, awesome.
Thanks,
Cindy.
Jolene.
All
Take
right,
care.
take care, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank
All
you.
right, bye-bye.
Yeah.